This video will help you diagnose and troubleshoot your baseline soil moisture sensor that reads moisture but doesn't appear to change moisture content. Before going too far, let's verify which sensor is in the ground and which zone irrigates it. We'll use moisture sensor 1 for my example. At the controller, turn the dial to the self-test position, highlight the menu Test Single 2-Wire Device, and press Enter to open that menu. Here I can test any device that's been assigned during the search and assign process. Scroll through the list until you find the device you want to test. In this case, it's Moisture Sensor 1. With MS1 highlighted, press Enter to start the test. Moisture Sensor 1 currently reads 28.7% moisture, so make note of that. Now manually run the zone that irrigates the area where Moisture Sensor 1 is installed. If you can't run the irrigation zone, wetting the area with the hose will work. Run Test Single 2-Wire Device again and look for a moisture change. I only ran mine for a few minutes, but now I show 29% moisture. Seeing a moisture change means the sensor is working, and I might be trying to wet Moisture Sensor 1 by running a zone where it isn't installed. Look again at the test results. The sensor showed 29% moisture and 50 degrees temperature. This info lets us know that the sensor is communicating with the controller properly. We'll want to look at the sensor installation, the wire, and the wire splices. If you did test the right zone and the moisture didn't change, we have other steps to take. We've done what we can at the controller, so it's time to go out into the field where the soil moisture sensor is installed and carefully dig it up. Be sure not to damage it though. Before we decide to remove the sensor, let's do another test with the sensor out of the ground. Dry it off and clean it, then run Test Single 2-Wire Device again. Did the moisture content change? We'd expect close to 0% moisture with the sensor out of the ground. If that's not the case, continue on. We need to remove the sensor, but it's a bad idea to cut the wire this short. Consider removing the wire all the way back to the box where the original splice was made, saving the entire wire length. Remember that industry standards call for splices to be made in a pull box with 18 inches of slack. Taking the time now will make reinstalling the device easier later on. With the sensor out of the ground, inspect it for damage. This first sensor has a damaged blade, but it may still read moisture, at least temporarily. The damage on this other sensor happened when water got in, and it's unlikely that it will read moisture. Let's test the device back at the controller. Anytime you work on the 2-wire path, power down the controller. Unplugging the controller, turning off the circuit breaker, or disconnecting the orange plug on the control board all can power down the controller. With the power off, I can disconnect the existing wire path from the terminals and set those aside. I'll connect the soil moisture sensor to the red and black 2-wire terminals, making it the only wire connected to the controller. If you're working on a conventional wired system, you can connect the black sensor wire to the common and the red sensor wire to terminals A1, A2, B1, or B2. Those are the only conventional wire terminals that look for a moisture sensor. We'll want to wet the moisture sensor before testing it, so find a bucket and fill it up. Power the controller back up and return to Test Single 2-Wire Device, rerunning the test on Moisture Sensor 1. While looking at the test results, keep in mind that the sensor measures volumetric moisture content. That means a sensor fully underwater reads approximately 35% moisture. If the controller can find moisture on the sensor while it's directly connected to the controller, we eliminate the device as the issue. That means the problem is either due to installation problems, the wire path, or splices on the wire path. Was your moisture sensor installed at the proper depth? The installation details that came with the sensor or what's on the baseline website indicate only a few inches of soil cover over the sensor if it's in turf. Installing a sensor 2 feet deep in clay soil won't see much moisture change and can lead you to think there's a problem when it's just about the installation depth. Did the sensor have soil touching it on all sides? Air pockets or rocks touching the sensor result in inaccurate readings too. If the sensor installation wasn't the issue, spend some time with wire troubleshooting. Look closely at wire splices, wire integrity, or for wire damage. If the controller couldn't find moisture on the sensor while it was connected, the sensor is likely the issue. Contact baseline support via email or phone to see if your device is eligible for warranty replacement.